the state librarian for the California State Library, Mr. Greg Lucas. And what I wanted to do is just start with each of you. And I'm just going to call on you, and you're going to have between 30 and 45 seconds just to tell Mr. Lucas basically either what you or what your library is either doing or has done in response to the COVID-19, because Greg likes to hear these stories from the field, and you're going to be the best people to tell the story of your particular library. So, as you go through it, just, be mindful of the time. And then at the end of this, I think Mr. Lucas would like to say a few words to all of you. So with that, actually, I was talking to Jasmine. So we're going to start with you, Jasmine, and let's put Camille, you're going to be on deck. Okay, so take it away, Jasmine, go.
Hi, everyone. Really excited to be here. Hi, Mr. Lucas. And so here in the Stanislaus County Library, I work for the Waterford Library in the Central Valley. And some awesome things that we've been doing is a lot of our staff is, everyone's an emergency worker. So there's a lot of our staff who are actually working at testing centers. Our Salida Library, they turned the parking lot into a testing center for COVID-19, which was really cool. Our virtual programming has skyrocketed, and being able to connect with our community virtually and providing new avenues to serve them and to stay connected. And I know at the beginning, kind of towards the end of March, we automatically started doing curbside pickup or no contact pickup. And just hearing how fortunate the customers were, for us to be able to continue to provide services, even though they were modified. So I feel like our library has been able to provide unique services and stay connected in the community, kind of despite all the uniqueness and flexibility that's going on.
Well, thank you so much, Jasmine. Okay, Camille and Karina, you get ready after this.
Okay, so I'm at the Moreno Valley Public Library. We just started doing park and pickup services for books pickup. We're doing craft kits to go, so we're putting together our craft kits, and they go along with our virtual programs. So then they can have the craft kits at home and watch the videos and kind of make the crafts along with us. We kept up our virtual programming, so we've been doing that for the last couple of months. And we just started the lunch at the library program again this year, so it's more of a kind of drive-through, but still providing lunch.
Awesome. All right, Karina, you're up, and then Fernanda, you're going to be on deck.
I was muted. I'm Karina, and I work for Sunnyvale Public Library. We just started what we call sidewalk service last week. So it's kind of a combination of our just reference questions outside and also curbside pickup. And for the most part, it's a lot of holds. We've been getting over 1,000 holds a day. So for that reason, the librarians will be starting to go into the library starting next week to help out pull out those holds for our community. And we've gotten a lot of positive feedback, a lot of thank you from the community that we're open. And it's just been a roller coaster, but we're making it work. So I think that's important.
All right, Fernanda, and then Javier, you're going to be on deck. Go, Fernanda.
Hi, everyone. My name is Fernanda. I work at the Downey City Library. Our library has been closed for renovation since March of last year. What we just recently did, which is a big highlight for the library, is we handed out over 1,000 summer reading kits to our community. That just happened this last Friday, and we're trying to get the funding for more because we've gotten more requests for more of these kits. Even though the library is closed, we're still doing a lot of the virtual programming. So this Monday, actually, we'll be recording a virtual performance. We'll be uploading it live on our social media platform. So though our library is closed, we're still doing a lot of things with the community.
Awesome. Okay, Javier and Andy, you're going to go after Javier.
Hi, I'm Javier from the San Bernardino Public Library. We've been closed to the public for, since March 17th, so 3 months now. And At first, we had our full-time staff working from home, but as of this week, we've all been going in, just starting to, go over plans with the director on how we're going to move forward. But a lot of it's just kind of waiting on direction from the city on supplies. We're pushing a lot of stuff through social media and then getting ready to launch our summer reading program online through Beanstack. So we're looking forward to that. It'll be our first time doing that.
Cool. Right, Andy, and who'll be after that? Marisa, you're going to follow Andy.
Hi everyone, I'm Andy. I work for the Riverside Public Library down here in SoCal. We've been out of the building since the end of March, and only about 5 of us have returned to full-time work, and those 5, not including myself, have been working exclusively on the summer reading program. So that has been the only service we've been able to provide during this time. We are moving forward on a library to go holds pickup program starting most likely July 9th, and we'll be open with that limited service starting then, and that will only be for our librarians. None of the assistants such as myself will be called back for the foreseeable future. So we'll see how it's progressing. Again, like Javier said, we're waiting on county and state guidelines to be released. We're doing research on how long materials need to be quarantined, and we're still moving forward with the construction of our main library.
All right, Marisa and Michelle, you're going to be after that.
Hi, everybody. Good to see you all again. I am Marisa. I'm with OC Public Libraries. I have been super proud of what our library community has done, because we've really stepped up, and COVID-19 has forced us to do things we'd never done. Like, we've started the digital story times. We even started online book groups and an ESL group that we've been trying to get together, conversation group. We just started this week actually with curbside service, so it's been a little bit scary, not quite knowing what's going to happen, how the patrons are going to react, but so far it's been really positive. And I think we've just been forced to kind of innovate and do new things in a way that we wouldn't have done otherwise, so it's kind of like the silver lining.
All right, Michelle, and then after Michelle, Nicole.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I work for the Sacramento Public Library, and we've been doing virtual programming for a couple of months, and we've started rolling out curbside to our branches. My branch just started curbside last week, but we have others that have been doing it for over a month. And then some of our branches are going to start offering computer appointments probably later this month, rolling into next month as well. So we're preparing for that. And we've also been 3D printing face masks for medical staff. And we're going to start doing that for our library staff as well. So we can use that for our staff once we start the in-person computer appointments for patrons.
Nice. All right. Nicole, and after Nicole will be Rudy.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nicole. I am a librarian at the Athenian School, which is an independent school in the Bay Area. Because we're a school, it's a bit different, some of the things that we're doing, but we've really enhanced our digital collection. And also we've partnered with a local bookstore to deliver print books, new books to the school community since our library was closed down because the school, our physical campus was closed. So that's been really positive. We're hoping to put some protocols in place in order to start curbside pickup when we return to school at the end of August. But right now, those plans are still in the early stages.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, Robbie Ann, go. And after that, Janie.
So I'm Robert Ann, or Robbie. I'm at the Benicia Public Library. We went back to work full-time staff starting March 18th, or excuse me, May 18th. And at that point, we went straight into trying to figure out curbside pickup. I was on that group or committee. There was 4 of us, and by June 1st, we rolled out curbside pickup. It's been pretty positive. Me and my DAs and my pages pretty much run it, which is really nice. Then we have our children's librarians really ramped up virtual story times, live and pre-recorded. And they're getting ready to launch the summer reading program that'll be kits that'll either get mailed out, picked up, or dropped off to them. In addition, we started today, one of our librarians started printing like the headbands that go around the back that hold masks off the ears. She started printing those on the 3D printer. And I'm on a new committee now of trying to figure out how to safely open the library by appointment per the state's guidelines and things of that nature.
Wow, all right, nice. And did I call on someone? Oh, Janie, go.
Hey guys, my name is Janie Hall. I'm part of the Inyo County Free Library. I'm in a pretty rural area, so we're all wearing multiple hats right now, as a lot of you guys are, I'm sure. We've been open because we're part of the because we're county, we're part of the emergency response. Early on, we gathered some online options for parents and kids because sometimes it's more about helping people to have a trusted space to find valuable online resources than it is about reinventing the wheel. And with limited staff, that's the way that we chose to go. But we just opened up with curbside, and our patrons are really excited about that. And as you know, part of the emergency response, some of us have helped organize well checks by phone. We helped the county with information gathering for local 211 phone lines. And currently, we're helping facilitate webinar conversations with business owners who are navigating how to reopen and those challenges. So that's what we're doing.
Right. Thank you. Let's see, Stacy, and then after that, Amanda.
Okay, hi, I'm Stacy. I work at the Santa Maria Public Library in the Central Coast. We actually just finished being the call center for the food bank, and during that time, we helped provide food for 15,000 residents in Santa Barbara County. We have been developing or been doing our online story times. I'm developing a STEAM program for preschoolers, which I do in-house, but I'm developing it so I can do it online. We partnered with our Rec and Parks Department for our summer lunches, and we're putting together 500 art kits for kids to take home. And we've been really utilizing since we've been closed, we've been utilizing the Zip Books program, and that way to get more books out to our patrons. And then we've also added a lot more online ebooks and audiobooks.
Awesome. Amanda, and then Nathan after that.
Hey everybody, my name is Amanda. I work at the Altadena Library District in the San Gabriel Valley. And on the patron side, we've been doing curbside pickup. We've given out 400 summer reading kits just for children. And we've been doing a lot of virtual programming. On the staffing side, we've been back in the building for curbside about a month. And what we've been able to do is a mental health initiative. So basically putting up posters in where there's high traffic by staff about trauma responses, because COVID is a trauma. So right, fight, flight, freeze, how that might manifest for your staff, your fellow colleagues. And then we also put out resources like with grounding techniques, mindfulness techniques for staff who start to feel overwhelmed. And the biggest hit of all was we made a playlist on Spotify of all of the staff's happy songs that bring them joy. And it's been pretty well received.
Nice. All right. Nathan, go.
So Nathan had chatted in the box that he's not allowed, he doesn't. So him and Rudy both put their stories in there.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. And I think we'll say the best for last. Devin, go.
Well, hello, I am Devin. I work at the Los Altos Library, which is one of the locations of the Santa Clara County Library District. We've been doing a lot of different stuff. I think a lot of what we're doing echoes on what everyone else is as well. Since we're county, we're disaster service workers, so a lot of our staff has been called doing warehouse work, paperwork. They just started a few weeks ago. A lot of the librarians are doing contact tracing now as well. And we're also doing a lot of virtual programming too. Pretty much all of our summer reading has moved online, which has been really cool to adapt because it seems like most of our services in terms of programming we've been able to do online. And we just started last week also doing curbside pickup too. So still figuring out all the parts of that and excited to see how it goes. The response has been really positive from patrons. So then we'll go from there and see what else we can adapt.
Wow, I think that's everybody, right? So, I mean, I'm really impressed with, I mean, last week hearing what that group was doing, but you guys you've got some good stories to tell. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg Lucas right now, just for his reaction, or he could talk about other things he's seen around the state that have really impressed him with what libraries are doing, or he can talk about whatever else he wants because he is the state librarian.
Thanks, Robert. I am really impressed by everything that you all are doing. I mean, I think that's to me, one of the most extraordinary things about libraries. I mean, there's no other public institution that is as flexible or as nimble or as responsive to its community as libraries. And just seeing and hearing how all of you and all these different libraries all over the state have adapted to going from public or in-person plus online to just online and a little bit of in-person, like curbside service, is extraordinary. I mean, Stacy, I think, from Santa Maria, yes? Yeah, I mean, that's just one example of, you know, that I've heard over the past few months of libraries, and there were some other ones that you hear in this call, but libraries partnering with other community organizations. And so by doing that, right, it becomes that much bigger and that much more effective of a project. What'd you say, 15,000 Santa Barbara County residents?
Yes, 15,000.
Yeah, I mean, that's extraordinary. And Jasmine, I think you were talking about how a lot of library personnel I forget the acronym, is it EOC? It's something like that. Like are doing emergency sort of work. And other jurisdictions, right, like in Hayward, the time that some of the librarians were stuck at home, they began making census calls, you know, to library patrons. I mean, it's just, I mean, there's so many different ways that libraries, touch communities and enhance what's going on. So what do you want to know from me?
Yeah, really, this is your opportunity. If you want to ask Greg Lucas one burning question, well then.
Well, you don't even have to ask me. You can tell me how we can do a better job helping
you. You can do that too, or how he can help you out, because he's always more than willing to help people out. He's done it, helped me out many a time.
What's your best leadership advice for new leaders?
Well, I remember going to library school, and so I took 2 or 3 leadership and management classes. And you know, you read the books in both of those courses, and there's all kinds of different advice. There's, you know, there's different flavors of leader. But I mean, two things have stuck with me, and I mean, they're from 2 different books. But so one of them is asking the question, all right, what's the most important thing to do right now? And so that isn't always what I like to do. But so for example, when I started at the state library, we had something like 26 vacancies. And so all of the stuff that I wanted to do couldn't be done. We have 130 people total. So some of your library jurisdictions have more employees than we do. So my math isn't so good, but I mean, that's like 20% of the workforce isn't there. So whatever cool things I had in mind or directions I wanted to point the state library into, couldn't do it because we didn't have the capacity. So the most important thing to do right then was to fill some of those vacancies. And then there was another book, and I forget the author, but I like the image where, the author talks about how, so it's like it's a dance, right? And so sometimes you're on the dance floor and you're in it, right? You're dancing, right? You're there, like right with everybody else dancing, and you're part of it. But then sometimes you got to go up on the balcony and stand there at the railing and look out at the whole scene and look at, you know, change your perspective from being right in the middle of it. I also had somebody send me something, which I've been using more and more. I mean, I have it here on it's next to my computer, and it's 4 questions, right? What am I not seeing? What else is true? What is my responsibility in this situation? And how is my perspective influenced by my fears? And I mean, if you repeat it, I'll deny it. But there's some of these questions I don't really like answering, but because you know, it makes me kind of look at myself, and I don't really care for that very much. But it can be really helpful in determining priorities and figuring out whether, you know, how much of my prejudices isn't the right word, but I mean, how much of, like it says here, my fears or my ego is interfering in the decision-making process.
Hey, Greg, I've got a question that came in the chat from Rudy in Berkeley. So pull out your crystal ball, and with the COVID-19, how do you think libraries will change moving forward? Or really, you know, what do you see them looking like in what, 2 years, 5 years, 6 months, whatever?
Well, I think there's going to be a higher, first of all, I think there's going to be a desire, well, you've already seen it. There's a desire by people to not be isolated anymore. And I think that's one reason why the governor put out the order today that says, hey, you know, you got to be smart, wear masks when you can't physically distance, that kind of thing. But I also think, based on the last few months and the changes people have had to make in their habits, that more and more, when people knock on the library's door, the first door they knock on is going to be the digital one. And so I think it makes it more important. I know we're doing this at the state library, is looking at our website and making sure it's more intuitive, that you can find what you want, that it isn't like our place for storing stuff, right? Which isn't the purpose of a website. The purpose of a website is to facilitate the visitor's ability to find what they're looking for. And you know, we're working now to build in processes in how we operate, so that, like, it isn't a bunch of stale stuff that's 5 years old, or like if you do one search for photographs, it takes you somewhere. You do the same search for you do a search for photographs a different way, it takes you somewhere else. I mean, that kind of thing. 2, 3, I mean, this is just kind of based on history. So after the 2008 economic downturn, I mean, the people who went to the library and asked the library for help, it increased fairly sharply. And so that's going to happen again. But like I say, I think based on what people have had to get used to over the past few months, the first place people will look for job training, resume building, you know, help of that sort will probably be online. So you know, what do libraries look like 5 years from now? I think it's a similar mix to what it has been in the past. I mean, I'm telling you what you all know already. I mean, libraries are about so much more than, I mean, books are the brand, right? I mean, 60% of the people who come to the library are there to check something out, whether it's a book or a DVD or what have you. But the last year, I forget, Robert, I don't know, the Pew Center used to do these annual sort of surveys about libraries in America, and they stopped. But like the last year they did it, which I want to say was 2017, the number of people who came to the library for like a class, a program, or a lecture had doubled from 15% to 30%. And I think that's something that's going to increase. You know, I mean, just think about our experience over the last couple of months. Like there's a, you know, there's, I mean, it's isolating, right? These kind of, I mean, these Zoom calls are pretty amazing, but it's not the same as if we were all hanging out somewhere. And I think that the isolation that the technology that we all use fosters in people, I think there's a desire to be together, to like a desire for community, that libraries are one of the few, if not the only, public institution that can sort of, you know, satisfy that need in people. Like if you can tell me one person that is feeling kind of blue and goes to the DMV to fix it, I'll give you $100, right? Like, I mean, people go to the library because they want to go to the library. I mean, how many other government institutions can you say that about? And I think also in the short term with the economics, right? So, you know, cities, counties, the state, everybody's going to make budget cuts. I think there's going to be more interest in seeing the kind of partnerships that some of you were describing, where it's, I'm making this up, but so where it's the Department of Public Health plus libraries, or it's libraries plus, like you were saying, Stacy, plus the food bank, or it's libraries plus, say the local WIC intake centers. So, or job centers, for example, right? Or workforce investment boards. And that the partnerships that exist a lot of times just kind of casually or because of, you know, a past reference or a past referral, right, has led to a friendship or some kind of relationship. I think there's going to be more interest in formalizing those, or like if there isn't enough money to do what each person individually wants to do, there's going to be more interest in seeing how partnerships can amplify what limited money there is, right? Amplify the impact of what limited money there is. Was that,
yeah,
that okay? Or was that like a filibuster?
No. That, I mean, that's, I think what we all want to hear from our state librarian. So, hey, thanks so much, Greg. I mean, we've got a few other things that we need to try to take care of right now, but I mean, I really appreciate the fact that you were able to take the time to say hi to everybody. And
my pleasure. Well, and as you said, Robert, I mean, this hearing from all of you is what helps here in Sacramento to make to convince the people with the money or the power of the purse strings of the value of investing in libraries. Like, you know, nobody, this is a blanket statement, but often most people don't think about libraries until all of a sudden the services are cut or the library is closed. I mean, the folks here take it for granted that libraries are just going to do the awesome stuff that libraries do every day. And hearing these kind of stories that show in a really personal and qualitative way that libraries are an important investment to make because of the value that they deliver to communities. I mean, that's super helpful to me, to say nothing of making me feel better. So I mean, I'll stop, but I mean, I used to be a newspaper man for 20 years and covered politics and government in the state capitol. So, you know, it's easy to become sort of cynical and disappointed by performance in a job like that. And I will tell you, I've never been more optimistic about the future in my life than I am now. And it's because I get the chance to interact with you all and hear the amazing things that are happening, right? Just person to person in communities all over the state. It isn't what happens in Sacramento. It isn't what happens in Congress and the federal government. It's what's happening right in communities and neighborhoods and people connecting with other people. All right, I'm getting off the soapbox now. Do you all have my email here, greg.lucas@library.ca.gov? Send us good ideas. Tell us how we can make your life easier.
You got it now. So, hey, thanks again, Greg.
All right, my pleasure. See you guys.
We'll be in touch. Bye-bye. Be nice about it, Cindy, but explain what they have to do.
Absolutely. Thanks, Robert. Hi, I'm Cindy Mediavilla. I am the evaluator for the program, and before the program even started, you should have gotten a survey from me asking some questions about leadership. I will be administering that same survey again in early July, and it's really imperative that it's only 4 questions, and it's very important that you respond to the survey, because that then tells us how the program went this year and helps justify the need for future programs. You will also be getting another survey before July that Christine will send out. And it's important that you fill that one out too, for the same reasons, to tell us what you learned this year, and it helps us with justifying the need for future leadership programs in the state of California. So thank you very much.
All right, you heard it from Cindy. So yeah, please do it. It really is important. Okay, I think with that now, I'm going to turn it over to you, Cheryl, because I'm really excited, really interested to hear about your experiences over the past year. And Cheryl's just got a few questions, and we'll kind of lead a discussion. So you got it, Cheryl.
And hopefully, how many of you received that set of 8 questions that we said we would talk about and I'm asking you to raise your hand. If those of you who don't have your cameras on, if you can put them on, that's great. I understand some of you can't, but if you can, that's awesome. The other option, which probably you guys know about, is you can kind of raise your hand through on the participants screen. There's actually yes or no there. So let's just practice that. How many of you received the questions prior to this moment and got a chance to think about them? Could you say yes or no? Let's see that. Or thumbs up, that works too. All right. Good, so not everybody, but everybody who's paying attention. Okay, awesome. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through those questions, and I'm gonna ask that, sort of 3 people or so answer each one. And I could call on you, but even better, it would be like, if this is a question that, was interesting to you, that you would go ahead and just speak up. So ideally, this will feel a little bit like we're in the room together. So please don't be shy. Just kind of speak up if the question interests you or you've got a comment to make. So we're going to go ahead and start with the first question, which is, how has this changed you? So this is thinking about all of the new leaders' leadership work, webinars and training and in-person and not. All right, so how has this changed you? Is there anyone in particular who's like, wait a minute, I want to answer that? Anyone on this one? Don't be shy, we're all going to talk. Jasmine, is that you? I'm sorry, not Jasmine. Somebody had their hand up and then you moved.
Oh, I can go.
There you go, Fernanda, thank you. Sorry, the screen jumps around a little bit. So.
Oh, no worries. I guess the way this program has changed me is I've come to realize that there are so many different people from different libraries that we can count on and network with, and that, interacting with many of you through emails or things like that, it's made me realize how there's a community out there. So if I have a question, it's nice to see that I can ask around and get answers to and share information with each another. So that's something that I've come to realize.
Awesome. Very nice. Okay, and that was good. I didn't really talk about how long your answer might be, but that was kind of a very nicely, it's less, we're looking for less than a minute. So that was perfect. Thank you. And wait, somebody had that. Marissa, was it you that had your hand up to answer this question? Marissa?
No, but I can say something.
Okay, that'd be great. Thank you.
I just thought it was a really good kind of overview at things that everybody talks about. Oh, you need to become a leader, be a leader. It kind of fleshed out what it is to be a leader. And yes, it's part of, like Robert, knowing the budgets and knowing all these little details, but also knowing about yourself. Like a lot of the stuff you've taught us, Cheryl, has kind of been just opening my eyes to different perspectives and different ways of interacting with people.
Nice. Thank you. All right. One more. Somebody who's interested in this question. How has this changed you? I guess I got to watch. Somebody can watch. We got to watch chat too, huh? Rudy and I understand that Rudy and Nathaniel answered. So I'm going to go ahead and read it because we're going to pretend that it's Nathaniel speaking. Ready? It's caused me to consider what the difference between a supervisor and a leader is. A supervisor is a dispassionate position. A leader has actual personal involvement with staff and patrons. A supervisor has to deal with issues such as budgeting, outreach, grants, etc. A leader has to implement such issues in ways that are acceptable to staff and patrons and create an environment that is efficient, positive, and effective. Thank you, Nathaniel. That was awesome. All right. Anyone else excited about this question? How's this changed you? Before I move on. Yeah, Robert Ann?
So the one thing I noticed that it helped me with was that I'm more willing to ask for help now or delegate. And the reason this is big is because not only is it big for me, but it's good for my coworkers and for my employees. And it shows that I trust my employees to actually complete tasks that I would normally do myself.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you. All right. Awesome. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next question. So what's the most valuable thing you got out of this experience? Okay. What's the most valuable thing you got? Devin? You guys can all unmute yourself if you want.
I think definitely the most valuable part was all of you, like facilitators and other like cohort members too. It just really solidified, just when we were all in the room together, but also here looking around on the Zoom, that yeah, I want to work in libraries if people like you are going to be my coworkers. And it also really inspired me to try to seek out that peer group at my library too, because I love that we like have this community like interlibrary, and I want to build it in the library. And yeah, I guess just the community. That was the best part.
Yeah, excellent. Great. Someone want to amplify that or have a different? Yeah, Stacy?
A little different is what most valuable thing I learned is to trust myself, is in being able to trust in myself and believe in myself when before, like with certain decisions, I was always so, I wasn't really sure of myself. And I've been able to understand that it's okay to make a wrong decision just as long as I learn from it.
Yeah. And can I add to that it's really good when you know it was wrong to apologize.
Yes, exactly.
Or at least not apologize, but just to acknowledge. I'm not sure you need to apologize at all, but to acknowledge that you recognize it. That I find that goes a long way to trust building.
It does.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. All right. Andrea.
I wanted to echo what Devin said about finding connections and meeting people who share your similar passions. I remember we were sitting there when we got to like sit around. I was like, am I the only one that washes my hands like 20 times a day? And everyone was like, yes, me too. It's like all the kind of idiosyncrasies of our, personalities and our profession that make us more similar than we are different, and how we communicate with each other can really be kind of the missing camaraderie that we don't get on a day-to-day with our staff.
Okay, nice. Thank you. Anyone else interested in this most valuable thing you got out of this experience?
I'll go, Janie.
Great, Janie.
Hey, mine is it's really all about communication, communication, communication. I've learned so much and reinforced so much about communication because it's not always easy. But being more present and actively listening and having a learner mindset, I mean, and interacting with the group over situations and examples and hearing different stories, it's really helped a lot.
Nice. Excellent. All right. Anyone else excited about that one before we move on? Happy to hear from anybody who wants to share.
Just jumping on Janie's communication, it was nice to do that test to kind of see how I communicate and how other people communicate. Like, I think that would be a valuable thing to bring back to my library, to have other people do it, so I can kind of see how they like to, you know, be talked to and how they like to work, just so it's easier to work together with the blue green test.
Nice. Nice. All right. So the next question, question 3, is what was missing from this experience? What was missing from this experience for you? Yeah, Amanda.
I feel like for me, what was missing is kind of the discussion about equity, you know, diversity, anti-racism, like in the work of librarianship. I think, you know, in such a predominantly white field, it's going to be really important that future leaders do have a really strong understanding of how important that piece is if you're going to be a leader in libraries. And I would love to see more of that.
Yeah, great. Good suggestion. Excellent suggestion. Yeah, somebody else. Who else? What was missing from this experience? Yeah, Andrea.
I think that like our own mental health and stability and burnout is something that we face pretty frequently, whether it's in interpersonal communications with our staff members or in the interactions we have with staff. And previous to COVID, we had so many, you know, hats we wore, and then now going into post-COVID, we're going to be even juggling more hats. And I already know that this is going to be a real struggle for our profession mentally, and how to retain our humanity. And I think that that was something that we could maybe talk more about in a next cohort.
Yeah, and can I just ask a question about that? Does it feel more about personal resilience? And anybody could answer this question. Please pretend we're in the room. Is it kind of about personal resilience and kind of, you know, being able to manage lots of change and lots, you know, that kind of thing? Or is it more about trying to help other people manage their kind of feelings or anxieties around all the change?
It's
Does anybody have a?
It's kind of like we all can acknowledge that we're leaders, right? Like we can bring up examples, but how do we sustain that? How do we, you know, what are the tools to sustain that leadership and our strength during periods of trial and challenges?
And I mean, like, it is like a personal, right? If you have like a lot of resilience personally, you are going to fare better with your mental health or with burnout. But it's also like at the institutional level of vocational awe, where we think like, because we are doing the magic, wonderful work for the community, that we have to sacrifice our own mental wellness or our own health in order to like fulfill that like dream space of the library. So like it's kind of plays on multiple levels.
Yeah, exactly. And like how can people in leadership positions or management positions institute, you know, policies that you know, focus on the mental health of their employees? How can we do, you know, work activities that, you know, bring positivity to the work environment? Like what are we doing at a management level and the leadership level as well?
Okay, great. Excellent. Excellent. Someone else, one more about what was missing from this experience. Anyone? If I try to, I might call on Javier. Can you, do you have an answer for that one? What was missing?
Yeah, being in person with everybody, you know, due to the situation that we're in, that I think that was like the big thing that, you know, I missed, you know, the meetings that we could have had and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm grateful we still got to, you know, get together in these Zoom meetings.
Yeah, that's good. All right, good. Yeah, Devin, please. Again, this is, you know, each of these questions is important. This one feels particularly important, and Even if you don't think it's shared by anyone else, please say it. It's good information. Devin.
Yeah, I just wanted to echo that too. I know I was really looking forward after our first meeting to meeting again and getting to know all of you more. And I kind of wish we could keep doing that virtually too, which I don't know, I'm still really open to if anyone can think of, or maybe we could brainstorm like some way to like keep in touch in a way. I don't know exactly how, but.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And anyone else about something missing? Is that Michelle? Did you have a comment? Yeah, great.
Something that's challenging for me that I've gotten better at but still struggle with is like speaking in front of people, public speaking, kind of that, having that confidence, which I found is really important as a leader, but still something that is difficult for me. So trying to develop that in myself and also helping staff who I notice that they also are struggling with that. So yeah.
Great. Yeah. Excellent idea. Thank you. Again, anyone else missing now that you've been hearing people talk? Is it getting your brain cells going?
Yeah, that made me think of, I don't really know if it's in the scope of this at all, but just like how to even get to that leader or like that management or leadership position, like interview skills or anything like that, because sometimes I struggle to get to a point where I would actually be leading somebody.
Okay, good. Excellent. I'm taking notes, probably you can tell, but I did want to be explicit. I'm not just looking away. Yeah, how do I get the job? Excellent. All right, so last chance on that question. Anyone else have a comment? Something you'd like to see in this kind of program? Good. Looking in. All right, I'm going to go ahead to the next one. So what was your favorite part? So the earlier question was, what did you find most valuable? But now we're asking, what was your favorite part?
To echo Devin, just like getting to know y'all, and like there's so many different personalities and roles and passions in this group, but it's all like, it's really inspiring and reaffirming to see how many awesome people are working.
Nice. Yep, good, thank you. Someone else, what was your favorite part? Janie, you got your hand up there? Or I missed it before?
Yeah, no, I just put it back up. I really enjoyed hearing from the different leaders with their own experiences and stories, and just the different paths that they took to get there, and their expertise. That was really interesting to hear from a lot of different people.
Great. Yeah, excellent. Yeah, there's definitely not one way. It's almost like you have to find what your strengths are and just amplify those and not screw up in the other areas. Like you can't be awful at the other things, but you don't have to be great at everything. You can just amplify the thing you're good at, that, you know. All right, cool. Anybody else? What was your favorite part? I'm looking for one more.
There's a comment from Nathan in the.
Okay. Oh, go, Christine, will you read it?
Yeah, so let's see, probably being able to listen in on various senior librarians and their stories. By doing that, you get to hear the wisdom of people who have been doing this for some time and what to expect. Sorry, my computer kind of does not allow me to go down more. If and when you, and then if you can read the rest, that would be great.
If you can read, oh.
Wait, never mind. And if and when you might end up in the similar position, you really get an idea of what a leadership position could potentially entail.
Okay.
So I believe it's the leadership journey discussions he's talking about.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's what it sounds like. And then there was another one from Rudy.
Right, I'll get that one. Rudy says, my favorite part was getting to know everyone and their experiences. I really learned a lot from everyone. Hey. Thanks, Rudy. Okay, I'm going to go ahead again and let, if somebody's excited to answer. Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next one, which is, what's something you have done differently because of this program? right? How have you put what you've learned into action?
I can answer this one.
Thank you.
So communicating up, especially right now that we're being asked to do a lot more, you know, and really strategically reframe kind of those sentences to give a suggestion or feedback of, you know, how we're really feeling at the moment. That has really helped me, especially right now. So yeah, thank you for that.
Great, nice. All right, someone else? Something you have done differently because of this program? Really, I want to hear from everybody, so maybe everybody could have a quick run at this one. Yeah.
I think I'm more open-minded now. So I used to always, whenever somebody would put out a new idea, I'd be like, oh, no, we can't do that. Now I'm more open-minded to listening to what people have to say and actually say, instead of saying no, I am now saying more yeses.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing. All right, someone else. Thank you. What have you done differently?
I think that I realized that your supervisor or your director, they're at the mercy of someone else higher than them too. It's kind of like sometimes in order to express an idea higher up the chain, you have to realize that they're human too, and if you kind of relate to them in that way, they're going to be more receptive to your ideas, and that's how changes can be made, by just acknowledging the humanity in each other and not being afraid of expressing yourself and your ideas.
Nice. Again, those are huge. That's great. We're not. Nicole, are you there? Are you available to answer?
Yes, I'm here. I think one thing that I've done differently, I have really started to find ways to empower other people to lead. So I've taken what I've learned in the course of our program, and for example, a couple of departments that I work with, like our technology department, our maker studio department, they've had some like intergroup conflicts. And so taking back some of the things that you had taught us specifically about communication has really helped to strengthen those departments and to help us all work better. So the energy is a lot better.
Nice. That's wonderful. Really wonderful. Good. How about Jasmine? I haven't heard much from Jasmine. Something that's you've done differently because of this program?
Yes, I definitely think I've been more vocal. And I think one thing that really helped with that was like take the offer. That like changed my life. And I feel like it's encouraged me to bring my whole self to work. And there are moments when you get opportunities and you could see it as, oh, I'm being called out in an awkward way, but really it's an invitation. And so that was super encouraging. I know I've been bolder in asking more questions. And also, I think just being gracious with my leadership. I think it's easy to have opinions about administration and leadership from where you are, but leadership is not an easy thing, and that if I ever get in a higher position, I want grace from the people that would work with me and under me. And so I think just having different perspectives on what leadership looks like from where I want to go, but also from those who are already there, has been awesome.
Yeah, nice, lovely. How about Marissa?
I guess a little bit similar, more willing to take risks and more willing to put my thoughts out there and put up ideas where maybe before I wouldn't have. I kind of have imposter syndrome, so it's like, oh, my idea is not as important. But now I feel like, okay, well, I'll say it, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but at least I get it out there.
Yeah, good. Okay, so let's do that. How many of you suffer from imposter syndrome? Can you do a yes or no on that one? Or raise your hand. Actually, that's visual. Just raise, if you can raise your hand or use the raise hand button, either way. Imposter syndrome, anyone? Good, all right. It's super common. It's super common. It's funny, I don't know if I probably didn't share this with you guys, but I did an info people class, 15 years ago probably, which was about kind of how to excel at anything. And it was really about how to bring your best self to work. And one of the exercises we did was I had everybody write down like what was in the way on an index card, so it could be anonymous. And I had them write down what's the one thing that really feels like it's in the way from you kind of excelling at work, And it was interesting because I think I taught the class probably 8 times, so that was 8 times. And at that time, an info people would have 30 people classes. So what is the math there? Is that 24, 240 people probably. And the number one answer every time was the imposter syndrome. So that was super interesting. And for everybody in the class, it was really interesting to hear that was so. And people said it in different ways. So sometimes you might not like the language imposter syndrome, but it would be, I'm not going to be good enough. People are going to see that I don't know what I'm doing, or, don't really, that I'm not good enough to have this job or whatever. So there was different ways to say it, but it was essentially all the same thing. And I think it was really helpful for the whole class to realize that, oh, we all feel that way, right? So again, I appreciate you sharing that, Marissa, because I think one of the things that's good is to recognize that, oh, you know what, through this not everybody for sure, but there's a good chunk of people. And it doesn't even have to do whether you're a nice person or not, or whether you're good at your job or not. It's just a feeling of, wanting to do well and not being sure you're doing well enough. And just tons of people have that same concern. So for me, that was a useful kind of piece of information. In fact, okay, I'm going to relate. I'm going off a little bit, but how many of you are comfortable going to parties and talking to people you don't know? Can you do another show of hands? How many people are comfortable going to parties and talking? Amanda's like, no. Yeah. Okay, so kind of on a related theme, I realized that almost everybody is uncomfortable talking to people they don't know, right? So to me, that was useful because I realized if I'm willing to overcome that feeling of awkwardness, then I'm actually helping somebody else, right? So in that spirit of being able to sort of understand, oh, everybody's uncomfortable, so I can help other people be at ease by, starting a conversation. And I thought, great. And that made it easy for me to, like, that's okay. I can talk to anybody because everybody's just as uncomfortable as I am. So I may as well try something, that was kind of my attitude about it. But I feel like that's a similar thing. We're all concerned that we're not good at. My experience is most of us are concerned that we're not good enough, So, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a bad thing if you end up hiding yourself, right? Hiding who you are, right? Don't do that, everybody. You're here for a reason. All right, I'm going to go ahead to the next question. How has this helped your branch or department, if you can kind of think organizationally? How has this helped your branch or department? Yeah, go for it, Michelle.
So one of the things we've been really working on at my branch is kind of teamwork, and we've had some struggles with working together. So some of the activities that you did with us at the meeting, I can't think what they call them at the moment, the impromptu ones, those I actually fit into my meeting for my staff, and we did them, especially the one that talked about supporting your partner with the that's exactly what it is. Mm-hmm. One of them had actually said that they didn't feel like their coworkers supported them when they brought up ideas. So I started using those, and after that meeting, we kind of had a more sense of camaraderie, and they even said like they really enjoyed doing it, which they were a little hesitant at first because they're awkward for staff who aren't comfortable doing those things. But that's something that I think has started to help us come together more as a team. So that was really great.
Nice. Way to go. Way to bring it back. That's great. Thank you. Somebody else, how has this helped your branch or department or, that.
I feel like there were just really like solid takeaways that were easy to share. So like some of the constructive conflict things, we're gonna have a PDD day and like kind of work through some of those things. And then we've just started an EDI team in the library. So like this morning we created a team charter and like kind of just like having the tools of like, we need to communicate better and have it like be on the same understanding, just like ready and available to use.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. So Darnisa, are you really there? Because you've been super quiet. Do I get to call on you? Are you there, Darnisa? I'm here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Can you unmute yourself? Or I think I can unmute you. Maybe not. Darnisa, I don't know. So I see that you're here. I can't hear you. Can you unmute yourself so we can hear your beautiful voice? Okay.
You might be another person who needs to chat.
Sorry, I had to move because it's a little, I have another someone else is in a meeting and it's kind of hard to hear me.
Okay. Sorry about that. I was just asking about, the question was, how has this helped your branch or department? Do you have a moment to answer?
Yes. So I didn't really put a question down, an answer down for that question. It's just really that just being in this program and learning how to become a leader has helped me so that I can be a better leader in my new role that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Is there anything in particular that kind of stood out?
I didn't have anything in particular that stood out. It's just learning just how to become a leader and being more confident in being in the role that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. Great. Excellent. Was there, you said you didn't really have an answer for that one. Was there another one of the questions that we've talked about that you have some, something you can share?
Responding in the chat, but I did mention in the chat that what's the most valuable thing that was my experience is, what's the most valuable thing that I got from this experience is learning to be present and listen, and it's been the best way to offer support and understand the faculty that, not the faculty, the staff members that I have. It's kind of weird though, because although I'm a new leader right now, it's been different because of the budget and things, and I've lost basically everybody that's working for me, so I'm kind of like alone. I have like one other staff under me, so being able to apply it has been difficult because I haven't been able to get people to work for me. So
you have to practice on yourself.
Yeah. So, but hopefully that will change in the future. Waiting to hear back answers from what's going to be the future of my department and the library and everything. So.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Thank you. Karina, is there anything you can, I sort of have a little list here. I'm making check marks when people speak, so I'm not picking on anybody, but if you haven't spoken for a while, I'm probably going to call on you. So Karina, anything to add about how's this helped your branch or department?
Yeah, I think just that's also, I also left that question blank, but I think I just couldn't pinpoint something specific, but I also feel the same way as Darnisa. It just kind of really it has helped me be more vocal and also bring up issues, or also positive and bad feedback. So I think that in that way it has helped my department, just me being more present and more engaged.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's excellent. So the next question is about how has this helped you personally? And, I realize that in some of the answers, some of that has shown up, but I want to encourage you to think, just not worrying about work stuff, but how has this helped you personally?
I can answer that. So going off of my previous answer, also build confidence in myself and stay true to myself. I think one thing that's going to stay with me is that no matter what personality type, you can still be a good leader.
Yes. Okay. Nice. How about Javier or Jasmine?
Yeah. I think for me personally, when we were in person and with our personality types and everything, it made me think, like, really, am I like an overthinker? Do I overthink everything? And I think I do, and I have in my previous positions, but I think now you know, and in my personal life, I'm trying to like just let things happen on their own without thinking of what, you know, all the little things that can go wrong, you know, just observing things as they happen and, you know, just going with it.
Nice. Nice. That's excellent. Jasmine?
Yeah, I definitely think one of the things that really inspired me was Hillary when she talked about working at the library embodies who she is as a person. And she talked about working for the library like it was a calling. And that like spoke to me deeply because I want to use my gifts and my skills in a way that benefits my community and that it's not just a job. I'm not doing this for a paycheck. Like I'm called to be here because I'm going to use my gifts and my skills to better the community. And like basically I just want to be the Beyonce of the library world. I want to be confident and wear lace front wigs and bedazzled jumpsuits. So I'm like, okay, I just need to do it and believe that. I think another thing that helped personally was when Robert talked about how he worked for an award-winning library. And when I left, it was like, okay, I don't want our library to have accolades, but I want to have a big enough vision to say we can be an award-winning library. What do we need to do to function at that level? And so just being able to say those things out loud and not feel like it's prideful, not feel like I'm looking for something, but as a team, how can we serve our community in a way that we're really doing what we set out to accomplish?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Very nice. It's why not have big goals, right? The only way you achieve them is if you have the, you know, that's great. It's fabulous. All right. Who else? How has this helped you, or how does this help you personally? How about, and Marissa, are you, can I bug you again?
Oh, sure. I think again, back to the communication. And it's kind of like the teamwork stuff has helped me to kind of stand back and trust that my team members will do it. And every time they do, they do step up. So it's always a happy moment where I'm like, yeah, they got it. They got it. And just to be able to communicate. And again, back to the confidence, and it's okay if you say something dumb or whatever you feel like you need to say it, as long as it's said in the right manner. Like the communicating up so much is about tone and how you say something, and just getting your voice out.
Good. Excellent. Do you guys, I see somebody yawning and I don't blame you. This is a hard time of day to be staring at a screen. So I wasn't really going to try to do a game, but I have a game. So we'll do it super fast and it's going to be probably super silly, but the idea is if I'm going to make a funny face and then everybody tries to make the same face. And then if somebody else chooses a different face, who will be the second one? Who will be my foil, my person who will do it? Can someone do this for me? Javier, will you do it? Okay, so here's my first face and you all got to copy me. Ready? Awesome. All right, Javier, what's your face?
Okay, my face is this.
Perfect, good for a laugh. All right, come on, who's got another one? Devin, come on, you can do it. All right, Devin, what's your, there you go. Way to go, Robert. Bev, you're looking pretty excited there. Bev, you got one for us? I don't know about you, it's waking me up. Does anybody have a face they would like us all to explore? Anyone? Demon's got a face? Yeah, go, Amanda. Oh! Wow, that's a talent. All right. Thank you for that moment of maybe that made it a little bit more fun to be here today, right? All right, so really kind of the last question, and then we can kind of have a more general conversation. And I know Robert's got a couple comments about I think the future of the program. How might this help your organization as a whole? Yeah. So it's not just thinking branch or department, but trying to think kind of organization wide. You guys are in very different sized organizations, and that's okay. And maybe I'm kind of interested, Nicole, if you're interested in answering that question, maybe you could start us off.
Sure. maybe just adding to what I mentioned in the other question, it was interesting that after our first meeting where we did like the blue, green, red, we had like a teacher in service and we did a similar exercise with a different type of test, but basically, yes, I'm green. I'm green, that's it. But what was interesting about that was having discussions with not only other departments that I work with, but people outside of those to see how we could use our strengths and to work on things, sort of those things that you know need a little bit more attention, but you may have put it off as far as your self growth as a professional. So what I've seen in various departments on campus is like leaders have taken not a step back necessarily, but they are really empowering their people to lead now. And I think it started with what I was doing with my direct report. So just seeing that sort of ripple effect in the organization has been very positive, and I'm really optimistic about what we can do in the future.
Wow, that's great. That's huge. That's huge. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, somebody else got a, I'm looking at my list here. Fernanda, any comments about that? Where are you? I got lost.
I'm right here.
Oh, there you are. Thank you.
I think something the culture in my library, since the renovation, we had a huge staff, like over 60 staff members, and now we've come to be reduced to about 30. And so that's taking the toll.
Is that a permanent change, or I mean a semi?
I guess coming from the renovation, some staff members left, and right now it wasn't meant to be permanent or anything, but I just noticed like the reduction in the number of staff that we had. So there aren't enough full-time staff members on staff, and it's really just does depend on part-time employees. And so that has been like a challenge, I guess, to do a lot of the things that each individual has in mind for the community, because there's not enough, I feel, hours for each staff member to do. So coming to this program, it's helped me think about the communication that we need with other staff members, because many times you want to do everything by yourself, but it really does depend on the team of the library as a whole. So even though you're not able to complete something on your own, communicating with 2 or 3 other individuals at the library is the only way really to accomplish anything. And it's just much more important to work in teams than individually, especially in the library world. So that was something that really resonated with me coming from this program. And we've implemented a lot of that in our library. So we've done a lot of committees where we're working towards the same goal, but in teams.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Great. All right. Robert Ann, yeah.
So I'm thinking big picture, and if I understood it correctly, the one way that I think that this will or even has already changed the word wide is like, for example, when we were ramping up our curbside service, we're a city library, and we were trying to figure it out. And we were about, 3-4 days in when I sat there and I was like, oh my God, I have 20 other people that I could reach out to via email and ask them how they're doing it. And that, I think, is just going to change, across the board, because you took a city library where there's, 10 of us full-time working. And just because one of us got this opportunity, I was able to reach out and hear from 5 or 6 other people on how they were doing it, what they were doing, what the negatives were. And so it helped. And I think that with programs like this, it's going to continue to help in situations like that. It gives us all a chance to talk across the state, as opposed to kind of be isolated to just our libraries and just our staff.
Yeah, great. Excellent.
Hey, Cheryl, here's something from Nate. He put it in the chat. I'll just read it out.
Thank you.
I think this helps my organization as a whole in two ways. First, it provides an employee, me, with important knowledge, skills, and ideas that would be translatable to the job that I'm currently doing. For example, the budgeting webinar that Robert hosted. Second, it provides an employee with the chance to pass along this learned knowledge and concepts. For example, being aware of different personality types and how to deal with them would not just be beneficial for staff to learn about in order to improve staff relations, as it also would be beneficial for staff to be aware of these different personality types when dealing with the patrons as well.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nate.
Yeah, thanks, Nate. Great comments. Thanks, Robert, for catching that. Much appreciated. Yeah, anybody else? How might it help your organization as a whole? I mean, come on, this is, you know, a couple of these questions are like the gold that when we tell, you know, give these to the state library, they're like, oh my God, we got to keep doing leadership development and keep, you know, these people are special and important. So yeah, anyone else? How does it help your organization as a whole?
Well, we talked about leading by example. So I feel like just bringing all this knowledge back and all these tips and tricks for kind of facilitating communication and being good leaders, and then we can be that way, and then people will also learn from us in that way. So even when we're not directly having meetings or discussing what we learned, they might kind of pick it up anyway. So that could be helpful.
Mm-hmm. Great. Excellent. All right, anybody dying to answer that question? I actually have a question. Oh, Amanda, you got something to say?
I don't mind adding what I had,
Yep,
which is like,
please.
I worry about it sounding egotistical, but like there are things that we, like, because of what I learned here and shared, are doing different and that are hopefully going to be sustainable, like how we schedule meetings or how we communicate or how we handle conflict resolution. And while, like, sure, if I ever leave this library, like, I'm the one who went through the training, but if we are able to implement and, like, in policy some of these changes, it's going to dramatically change the organization.
Yes. Excellent. Awesome. Awesome. I have a question, which is, I can't tell if it's related to all of this I mean, I think it is related to leadership stuff, but Robert, if you want to wrap something up, you could stop me, but can I try?
Go ahead.
Okay. I sort of wanted to ask Greg too, but you know, with this stuff going on about the idea of rethinking how policing is happening, I keep trying to figure out how libraries might get into this conversation. Because if we really rethink how to, and I have no expertise here, by the way, it just keeps coming into my head whenever I hear them talking about the policing, and I think about the kinds of people that you guys have to deal with every day, so, you know, many of which are lovely and some are which are challenging, and the kind of some of the burnout from having to deal with certain kinds of people that happens even in the library, just like sometimes they talk about with the cops having to go. And I've heard this about EMTs also, that, you know, you go on all these calls and that's not easy, seeing the more seedy side of our you know, people's lives, right? And I was trying to figure out what's the connection between libraries and how could libraries be involved in that in a healthy way. Not necessarily that you're doing anything, but just kind of sharing your experiences, or, you know, how much people are getting services from you that you know, some of which would be nice for them to get elsewhere, or else to acknowledge that the library is the place to get it, but being the de facto place. I don't know. There's just something. Has that struck anybody else, or is that just me?
Well, it makes me think of Christine. She shared the paper that she worked on for CLA. And Christine, please correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a beginning of the paper that talked about an incident with a young African-American boy and some things happening outside with the police, and how the library kind of served as an intermediary. And it's cool because the library is supposed to be for everyone. It has to be a safe space for anybody that comes. And so I feel like the library is this kind of melting pot where all these conversations can happen. And unintentionally, we're intermediaries for what's happening in society because we went across everything. And I think being able to leverage that in a greater place to provide support for the unheard, to provide support for the vulnerable, and to help them be seen and heard in the communities or environments or populations they're not. I know even here in our library, we're talking about finding that balance of here's the populations that come in, but as far as like low income, our refugee community, our ESL households, they're not as seen as much, even though like 49.7% of the population is Latinx or different things like that. And so I feel like there's this great opportunity happening right now for libraries to, I don't know, to be a pillar of support, but to be an open avenue for people to come and see reconciliation or arguments, but it's all safe. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like I'm rambling.
Well, it's all right. I mean, it also makes, you know, the idea of the libraries being a place where you might be able to facilitate conversations around, you know, police reform or, you know, I mean, there's some pretty significant, important conversations to be had, and the library might be a great place to be holding those events, or even, you know, if people feel confident, facilitating community around these questions. So yeah, Robert N.
So I know personally, it's not conversations that I personally would participate in work, but that's because I think that sometimes some of it borders on, you know, the aspect of political, and I try not to open that door ever. But we do have a service normally, you know, back in the before time, as we put it at work, that was difficult discussions or difficult topic discussions where people could come in and a librarian would be kind of the mediator, and it would be a respectful area where they would sit down and they would talk about it. And they were starting to do it with the teens as well. And they did touch on things like homelessness, personal responsibility, racism. And so those were things that we were starting to, you know, that a particular librarian was starting to do. And I know that, again, we're a small city library, but we would have anywhere from 6 to 10, you know, attendees, and it was starting to ramp up more, like I said, going into the teen, and then everything hit, so.
Nice, nice, good. And anyone else got a thought about that?
I think we kind of are in a very unique position as libraries. I think it's kind of unfortunate that it's taken this long for this discourse to be happening, because like some of these issues like are not new. They are 400 years old. And like anybody who's like doing like following like CritLib, like all of these things, like critical librarianship, like we do function as part of out of values of white supremacy. Like some of our policies are exclusionary, some of these things. And I think some of the conversations that are happening now, right, where it's like defund the police, those funds aren't going to magically disappear. Like some of the things that we cannot assist our patrons with, that we are not trained, like we are not mental health professionals, having those things funded so that we can actually be the service they need, and being able to like refer them. Like if somebody is houseless, I only have so many resources I can send them to, because there aren't that many resources in our community where I can get them significant help. And so I think we definitely have a role to play in looking at relationships that we have, and how we function, self-analyzing for where our own biases are as institutions.
Yeah, great, great. Thank you. Anyone else comment about that? Yeah. Sorry, I'm looking at you, and as if you can tell who I'm looking at. Andrea, go ahead.
Well, like two thoughts come to mind, and it's one, like how do, like in the situations where as a staff member you feel like you have to call the police, you know, how does that actually, you know, result in, like, does it actually do anything? And most of the time it doesn't, and most of those patrons are there the next day still facing the same issues. You know, you can't just arrest someone for being homeless, right? Like it's not really, you know, there has to be another sort of like service, like sending out a social worker or something like that, that would be much more beneficial to the library to provide us with that resource, and for the individual to be able to receive that resource, right? And then the other thought that I have when it comes to just interacting with like people of color and people in the community who do not have access to, like, let's say computers. Like if we have our summer reading program and a lot of our resources on our computers going forward, and we're telling our customers or patrons to utilize those resources, so many low-income families do not have their own computer or only have one computer that they have to share. And most of the summer reading program, like packages that you buy, like they're only available in English. They're not available in Spanish, in Mandarin, in a multitude of other languages that are needed by, you know, these minority communities that are not often thought of. So it's how to bring inclusivity into the library as we move forward with technology, and also how to utilize the inclusivity in providing resources as an entire city, department to department, and how effective that is.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. All right. I think, I mean, Robert, are you ready to talk about the kind of future of the program?
Yeah. If you're finished, Cheryl, well then I'm going to probably just start to wrap things up, if you don't mind.
Nope, sounds good. I mean, if somebody's got a question, I mean, I'm certainly, you know, if somebody's got a question or they just want to make a comment in general, we could, even after you talk, we could give people an opportunity for that. But I think we've gotten some good info from our questions, so I think we're good.
Yeah, okay, so I guess I'm going to take the last word here just because I can. And but first of all, just a few takeaways that I've got just, you know, again, from listening to what you people were saying, and then how it at least kind of relates to me as far as this particular program is that I think one of the first things I said when we first met in Ontario, and I think it was back in February, as far as my personal definition of what leadership is basically it's confidence and it's relationships. And I was hearing a lot about the fact that you feel more confident in what you're doing and that you've got more relationships now than you did, you know, 3 or 4 months ago. And I think that's great because that really is, at least to me, the foundation of where leadership is going to happen and how you're going to develop it. And I'm really glad that I think it was Janie was talking about having a leader or a learner mindset. I mean, if you keep that in that little piece in with the confidence and as you grow your network, well then, you know, that's really how you're going to continue to grow as leaders. Because, and you may not really realize it right now, although again, I'm really starting to sense it just hearing and seeing, you know, what you people are doing and hearing you talk is that, yeah, I think you chose to be in this program because, yeah, you want to learn more about leadership, but at some point, leadership is going to choose you because the people in your libraries, your staff, your community, they're going to start looking to you for leadership, especially now when, you know, the times are just so crazy and, you know, people don't really know what to do. They're looking for leadership. And I think a lot of you are starting to realize that, well, why are they asking me this? And there's a reason, because you're displaying leadership and they're looking for that because they need it now. So, you know, don't forget that. And it's a responsibility and it's, you know, going to be tough. And, you know, as you move forward, how you're going to, you know, live up to these expectations that other people put on you, you know, I can't give you the answer right now, but I think just based on what I've seen from every single one of you over the course of the last few months is, yeah, you've definitely got that gene in you. And I really think you're going to be up to the challenge. And, you know, something else that I said, and again, right now, you know, when I was listening to you all talk to Greg Lucas and, you know, your answers to a lot of the things is that I said, you know, again, back in Ontario, that we literally got like 1 million applications to be a part of this program. And so basically what we were able to do is pick the smartest kids in every classroom and bring them together, and we put you all in the same room. And I think you all realize that, or you probably should have realized that, well, yeah, I'm in a room with all these other smart people from other libraries, and I can stand up. You know, I'm not a fake, I'm not an imposter. I can say what I want. And, you know, I think I feel confident in, you know, what I'm saying. And, you know, again, that should be a real nice confidence boost to you that, you know, yeah, you've met all these really great, amazing people who are all really smart. And, you know, you belonged in that room, you sat at that table, you were able to speak up and, you know, feel confident and have something to say. So, you know, again, just keep that in the back of your mind when you're back at where you are right now, that, yeah, you've got something and you bring something to the table. So don't ever forget that, and just keep developing that as you move forward. You know, as far as the future of the leadership program, there's actually, assuming the grant gets approved, there's going to be four programs next year. And actually, the application process may be coming out in August. So this is what you could, I think, potentially be looking for. One is, we want to do this new leaders program again, just because I really liked meeting people that maybe not necessarily have the MLIS, but are in positions of leadership. And I think, you know, like Rudy, Robbie, you people epitomized, I think, what we wanted, you know, as people. I think Jasmine, you know, just people that are your circulation supervisors. You're managing a lot of people, but, you know, you're not a librarian. And, you know, maybe whether you get the MLIS or not, you know, up to you. Do you really need it? Again, I don't think so, but it doesn't make you any less of a leader. And that's why it was just nice to get a group of people like that together. And, you know, others, you really, you know, you're young in your profession, but I can see that you've really got, you know, the desire, I think, to lead. And hopefully we can get another group like this to give, you know, the opportunity, maybe very early on in their career, just, you know, a taste of what leadership is. So that's the new leaders. There is going to be the leadership cohort. That's the one that we've had for the last, 4 years. And again, it's maybe a little bit a different level, maybe like the branch manager. Generally, they're the librarians as well, but they go into a little bit more, I don't know, areas that maybe this particular program didn't touch on. There is going to be something called the residential program. This is going to be, again, something maybe a little bit higher, maybe targeted at, you know, division heads and maybe even library directors. It's going to be a little bit more intense, like a 5-day program. And it should be interesting as far as what that content is going to go. And then the fourth one is something called the Leadership Challenge. This is something that we did last year. We didn't do it this year. But it's basically, we brought a group of librarians together, and the idea was for them to work in groups and address a specific issue that faces libraries in California. And this particular, there were 4 projects that came out of it. Actually, Christine did it. One of them was actually on the whole EDI in libraries and how to move that agenda forward. There was one on early learning. There was one on the 2020 census, and then just one on new programs in libraries. And it was interesting, the things that people came up with. And again, we're going to try to do that again this year, get these groups. And I would assume probably the issue they're going to tackle is what our library is going to look like moving forward. So if you like to work in a group where you actually want to come up with a project that's going to, in the end, have some kind of a position paper or a website or a resource kit, look for the Leadership Challenge. And then the other thing that we really do want to incorporate into, for sure, the new leaders, the cohort in the residential program, is more of some kind of a component. And once you mentioned this about EDI, 1, 2 about the whole concept of implicit bias. Third one would be on just the politics of what it's like, as leader, you know, how to deal with these kind of things. And I do know that we've already had conversations with Luis Herrera, the retired director of San Francisco, and he's willing to kind of consult in that area to just, because it's so important in California, these issues. And so how to incorporate it a little bit better into the existing programs that we have. So that's what's going to be happening. And so if, you know, you're not tired of learning more about leadership, well, then there would be things that I think that would be logically something that you may want to consider. So, you know, look for that. It'll be on the website. And I'm going to probably say that assuming the grant gets formally approved, maybe in August, you're going to hear more about that. So, Christine, did you have anything that you wanted to say to the group right now?
I just want to say thank you for everyone. It was really great. I'm just really excited I get to spend a lot more time with you guys. But you do have my email address. Please reach out to me. We also still have a Zoom license, so if you guys are interested in meeting, I can totally set that up for you. But that's about it. I will be setting out a Google form with these questions we talked about today. Please fill that out. So there's that. But yeah, keep in touch. Definitely, I look forward to working with all of you guys in some way, shape, or in the future. And I kind of don't want to say bye, but I'll just talk to you soon, right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, I'm going to say the same thing as I really like, I mean, you people, don't tell the other cohort, but I really, really enjoyed you people just because you all were so, for the most part, young and energetic, and you just bring a real passion. And, you know, especially for someone like me, that it's just really reaffirming to see this in people that, because once upon a time I had it too, but, you know, I don't know where it went, but it's good to see that in all of you, because, you know, you're just gonna, it's contagious, and, you know, people are gonna get this off of you. And I really am happy that, you know, assuming that I'm at a conference, whatever, we'll see you again, but I feel very good that if I'm looking at the future of my profession, it looks pretty damn good from where I am. So, you know, thank you all so much. And yeah, you know, when we're going to see each other, I don't know, but we will. So, you know, until that time, actually, I was talking to my wife a little bit earlier that, and it has nothing to do with anything else, but I'm starting to watch the program Schitt's Creek, and I'm binge watching it, and I need to get back to it. So I don't want you to hold me up, because I got through it about halfway through season 2 right now, and it's only been 2 days since I started. So, no, but you know, you're welcome to stay on the Zoom and keep, you know, talking amongst yourselves if you like to do it. And with that, you know, I'm going to just say again, thank you so much, and you all take care, you all stay safe, and you all continue to do really great things. Okay. All right. Over to you, Cheryl, or.
Okay.
Thank
you,
Robert.
And Christine, I'm going to pass the host back. Yeah, of course, I want to echo the same thoughts after when we, I had a blast being with you guys. You are a lovely group, and I was quite unhappy when we said we weren't going to get to meet. I was like, oh man, anyway, and I'm guessing everybody felt that way. So I'm hoping that Robert in all his wisdom might find a way to get us all together somewhere again. Yeah, if it works out. So I hope to see everybody again.
So I did see that a lot. I'm gonna stop the recording now. There we go.